Okay, Derryn Hinch, you're here in the Weekend Australian magazine. Now, you make a lot of claims, don't you? You're speaking out, you're talking big about preventing sexual assault upon children. That's fair enough. In theory, it's fair enough. You're in the Weekend magazine and you're talking big about preventing sexual assault upon children. Now, has it occurred to you that thousands of Australian boys are subject to male genital mutilation each year? It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't sound like it ever occurred to you. If you think about it, you can go to YouTube and watch male genital mutilation videos on YouTube. They can be watched on YouTube by anyone. They're the worst sort of child pornography. If you want to measure the severity of child pornography on the Copine scale or the SAP scale, they're in the worst sort of child pornography, and they can be displayed on YouTube Australia. What are you going to do about that? I don't think you're going to do anything about that. You haven't done anything about that up to now. You can watch a boy screaming in agony, can't you? It's the worst sort of child pornography. It's sexual assault upon a non-consenting child. It's got non-simulated pain. The pain is genuine. It's not simulated. It's not some actress or actor moaning and groaning and pretending to be... it's in bondage, and the pain isn't simulated. The child is in a circumstraint. He's in agony. There's bloodshed. There's sexual assault. There's neurotrauma. There's psychotrauma. So all these things are on YouTube. When you can watch a male genital mutilation video on YouTube, what are you doing about that, Derryn? Probably nothing. No more than Hetty Johnston, the big child rights campaigner. Yes, child rights campaigner. She's not uttered a single word about protecting boys from FGM. She hasn't, has she? She hasn't. Then there was Julia Gillard. Julia Gillard, she tweeted that there is no place in any religion or culture for female genital mutilation, and she gave $500,000 to an anti-FGM campaign, and knowing full well that FGM was already against the law. Did Gillard say anything to prevent boys from having their cocks cut up? No, she didn't. Did she give 1 cent to protect boys' cocks? No, she didn't. She didn't. She didn't. Have you read the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Derryn? I really think you should, and you should decide whether or not a male genital integrity is a human right for boys as well as girls. You should think about that. It's illegal in Australia to cut the foreskin off an animal of any gender, male, female or intersex. If you ask the RSPCA, let's see what the RSPCA told me actually. Then there's the Human Rights Commission. Well, you'd know all about those people. You've been a journalist. The Human Rights Commission is a misandrist organisation. Now, we've just, the last Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Elizabeth Broderick, was there for 8 years, and in 8 long years she didn't utter a word in defence of defending a boy's genital integrity as a human right. She was supposedly a lawyer trained in human rights. She's supposed to have read the International Convention on Human Rights and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, but she said nothing. The president of the Human Rights Commission, she says nothing in defence of boys either. She addressed an anti-FGM conference a few months back, and she cited FGM as domestic violence. She called FGM domestic violence. That's interesting. No FGM Oz Australia, if you go to their website, they were given an award by the Human Rights Commission, supposedly for working against FGM. No FGM Oz describe FGM as domestic violence nowadays. Incidentally, there's a little girl with pierced ears on No FGM Oz. She's underage and she's had her earlobes punctured. So that's a bit of hypocrisy there coming from No FGM Oz, which talks about one's right to one's own body, and not just genital integrity, but the right to one's own body. You've got an underage girl with pierced ears who wouldn't have been able to give informed consent. But yes, genital integrity is a fundamental human right. Now, Gillian Triggs said on her homepage on the Human Rights Commission website before that sentence was removed, I've always quoted that sentence and now suddenly it's removed, she said that all children should be educated in their fundamental human rights. Surely genital integrity is a fundamental fucking human right. Surely it is. We've had 30 years of feminists at the Human Rights Commission. None have ever defended boys' right to genital integrity. For example, Prue Goward, yes, she's now the Minister for Prevention of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault in New South Wales. She was a former Sex Discrimination Commissioner. She said nothing in defence of boys' cocks when she was Sex Discrimination Commissioner, and she said nothing since she's been the Minister for Prevention of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. I wonder who gave herself that huge appellation. Yes, now domestic violence. Sure, I'm sure Prue would consider FGM domestic violence. We don't consider even a pinprick to a girl's clitoral hood is considered domestic violence nowadays. But if you slice off a boy's foreskin, no one considers that domestic violence. Do you consider it domestic violence, Derryn, I wonder? Underage boys were sitting in pools of their own fucking blood, and Triggs said nothing, Elizabeth Broderick said nothing, and Male Mitchell, the Children's Commissioner, said nothing. All these women were silent. They kept mum. They were deaf. They were blind. Yes, Triggs, President Triggs, yes. Elizabeth Broderick, former Sex Discrimination Commissioner. Haven't heard anything out of the new Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Kate Jenkins, either, as a matter of fact. Male Mitchell tweets about FGM. On her Twitter account, she puts up FGM postings on Twitter and on Facebook, but as if she cares about girls' genital integrity. But does the Children's Commissioner say a word in defence of male genital integrity as a human right? No, she doesn't. So you've got these misandrist feminists cherry-picking. They're all worried about, they pick the best rights for themselves. A pinch on the tit in the military, a pat on the bum is shocking to them, and talk about glass ceilings. In the meantime, not one of these Sex Discrimination Commissioners, the Children's Commissioner or the President, none of these women have ever defended genital integrity as a human right for boys. Are you going to have a Senate inquiry into male genital mutilation, Derryn? I think you really ought to. If you really have the courage of your convictions, if you really care about preventing sexual assault, you care about boys and their right to genital integrity as a human right. It's a human right.